Well, first of all, thanks guys for coming. Everybody's here for a reason, and the biggest reason is we know there's a problem. So I'm here to help you address them. I've got some great ideas, I think, because I didn't come up with them all on my own. I come up with them by talking to other people and things that I've seen, of course, myself. So I got these little handouts that I give out just to throw some numbers out there, because liars can figure, but figures don't lie. So when you're looking at the position that we've got ourselves into over the years, we are a high poverty rate, low workforce. We're going broke, and we're going broke fast. So if you look on there, our workforce gap, the state of Iowa is 67.5%. Keokuk's 59. If you guys get on TikTok or any of them places, when you put in Keokuk, it's going to show up as the worst almost in every category. Poverty, workforce, our poverty rate, state of Iowa, 13%. Keokuk, 20%. So if you look at those, between those two, there's about 700 people apiece in those, which you got back to, like, we have 1,400 people here that could probably work. So what we've looked at is what the economic impact would be of putting people back to work. And I like to just use round numbers, and let's just say there's 1,400, but I like 10%, but let's just take 10% down to 100 people. If we put 100 people back to work here, that would put about $10 million back in our economy with a multiplicity factor, which is a lot, and we need it. We've went around, we've talked to a lot of people about some different things. Stuff that I've never looked at, really never even thought about, was childcare. So when I've heard this mentioned a few times about childcare, women and men that have younger children, they can't afford to go to work. They can't afford to make $20 an hour and pay for childcare. So we've taken a little bit deeper look at childcare, which is one of the reasons why I said I'd be the first guy to donate. I won't take a wage, I won't take a salary from the city. I'll donate all my money to start a childcare alliance. Then there's a lot of other factories out there and places that have a lot deeper pockets in this city, but they're running at 75-80% capacity. So it'd be beneficial for them to help me with my alliance, because then I'll put those people back to work. And I think with that, I think we can start off by putting 50 people right back. Now, that's not going to solve all our problems. It's going to be a good start. The other 50 people, I believe that we can get out of, maybe, like I've always done. I've dealt with drug addicts my whole life, and work in the workforce. When I do construction, it's hard to get people to work. So a lot of times they're sitting in jail, Lee County. They got busted for drugs or something. Taking a lot of them. Years ago, I used to take them through drug court, get them dried out, put them back to work, and try to stay with them and on them so that they continue to maintain that. That's not going to solve all the problems either, though, but it's going to be another good start. We have a big mental health issue. There's no more funding anymore for mental health. The government's taking it all away. Years ago, you used to go down, and I used to always take my cans down the bridge, but I didn't even want the cans. I just give them to them. I thought it was great that they had that. They had programs where people that had issues, where they paid employers to hire them. They give them tax breaks, different things to hire them. A lot of this funding, a lot of this money's gone. So we're going to put together, and I think if I get in as mayor, we'll put together, I'm going to work with, like, the easiest place to go is the churches, and we'll put together a group that can go and work with these people. We see them every day walking around. Why? I mean, I don't know why all these guys are out walking around. Why are they here? Do they have a mental health issue? Some of them, I've heard, some of them just need IDs. A lot of young guys too. Be a good workforce. Young women. So that's one thing that we've targeted to look at, just to try to get a quicker fix on our workforce. And in doing that, it'll bring a lot of money back to Keokuk. We've talked about, which I've had people say, hey, don't say the annex word. It's going to kind of all go into where I'm going to go with this. So we have a high poverty rate. We have a low workforce. So people in the county, a lot of those people used to live in Keokuk. They moved out to avoid the taxes. I don't want to raise their taxes. I would just like their tax dollars to be spent here so that we can utilize them, because I've talked to them. I've talked to 100 people in the county. I've had 3 people that didn't like it. The one person was, we don't want to lose our rights, like on voting and stuff, because now we'll be controlled by the city. That's very untrue. If we annex in, let's just say, and I don't know exact number, let's say we annex in 1,500 people. It's going to take us over the 10,000 threshold. But you take 1,500 people in the county, and these people are voters. The people in the county are voters, and they're workers, okay? So they're going to take over how voting goes in town, because not everybody in town is going to go against them. What they don't understand is that they would help take more control of the voting and get us back in the right direction. It would also instantly change our crime rate. Our crime rate's 2.8 times the Iowa average. We have a high crime rate. Why would anybody want to come to Keokuk when you have a high poverty level and a high crime rate? I would never, if I didn't live here, I would never move a business to Keokuk, Iowa, because of that. Now, we bring the county in. How much crime's in the county? Hardly any. There's no crime. There's the poverty rate in the county. The reason the poverty rate is what it is because of the 2 cities, the 2 bigger cities that are in this county, which is Keokuk and Fort Madison. That's why the poverty rate is what it's at in the county. But the county does not have that high of a poverty rate. So we've talked about this because, hey, we can bring in, there's a lot of tax dollars that set around Keokuk. If we can get these people, and I don't want to make them, I want to make it make sense to them. If we can get this to happen, as of right now, we have to offer them public safety. I don't want anybody to lose their jobs right now. I went down to the fire department, they said for 25 years, they've been threatened of their job because of the downsize in town. Police department, they don't want to hire anybody. How do you not hire more police officers when you have a crime rate that's 2.5 times the state level? By doing this, we can put a reduction on and have the need, because we'd have the dollars to be able to afford the people that we need, and then we'd be able to work on the areas. And I got a whole plan to work on crime too. A lot of our crime's petty. There's not any, it's not big crime, but it's petty crime. It's stealing, different things like that, breaking and entering. You're going to see more crime now because of the homeless population we have. Easiest place for them to go is jail. They get 3 hots and a cot, or go check themselves into a rehab center. And I've talked to a few of these guys. They call them snowbirds. They go in, they're out. But if we get into this annex thing, and I still haven't seen why it isn't a good idea. Somebody's going to have to really explain to me why it's not. I've had, one of the supervisors told me, he's like, he goes, you can't annex yourself out of poverty. I get it. I understand that. But I want to put a Band-Aid on this and stop the bleeding. And so we can heal, we can regroup, and then we'll build. Another great thing with annexing, we lower the crime rate, we lower the poverty rate. Now we also have a bigger area. If a bigger business want to come into Keokuk, Iowa, they have a place to put it. We don't have no place. Where are you going to put it at? You're going to put it out Midwest Carbide? We're going to put it out there, 74 acres or whatever. It's going to be a while before that's even ready. And I hope that we have enough money granted to us to fix that. So it would be a quicker fix on the annexing, and it'd be better for everybody, because I know the people in the county, they don't want the city to close. We need a hospital. Like our county person, he basically told me he don't want a hospital here. If we get a hospital here, he's afraid that it's gonna close Fort Madison down. So I think that with the downsizing of counties that I believe that we're gonna be looking at soon, there's 99 counties in Iowa. I think they're gonna try to take it down to 60. So from what I see they're gonna do will be us like Van Buren and Henry. So the way to grow the town is, let's make it bigger. I think, why not? We already have an airport out there, and I'm not doing this because the airport needs anything, because I don't believe the airport needs anything. The roads where we're looking at going, the roads are already in good shape, so we're going to have to go out and fix a bunch of roads, but now we put these tax dollars back into Keokuk, because these county people, they bitch about coming to Keokuk too. They complain about it. It's terrible, our roads are terrible. So if we put those dollars back into Keokuk, we can get headed back in the right direction. And the town is going to be bigger, you know. But here's the thing: I'm not looking at changing any way they live. I'm not looking at changing their taxes. I'm not looking at changing whether they can hunt. They can do whatever they do. What they do now will be the same. I don't see any other way that we'll ever grow unless we start doing things like this. Unless we start looking and bringing that money, their money, into our town. Instead of letting the county control their money, because they're really in Keokuk. I mean, you go right out there, you know, I got in a wreck on the highway. I'm out of town. Guess who's there? Keokuk Fire Department, Keokuk Police Department. You know, they don't have to go out there. They're city. They're paid by us. And the county people's like, well, we have less public safety. It ain't about that. You know, it also probably help them with their insurance rates. And I'd even look at if everybody came easy. And, you know, this is not a 100% plan. It's just an idea, but at least I have an idea. The other people, I've been with them. There's no ideas. They have no game plan. They're going to keep it the way it is. We're going to ride it out. You're going to be in the same position of what we've been in for years. You're going to come from a guy that decided, hey, let's make the mayor's job part-time position. Be great. It's not a part-time position. It's a full-time position. You're going to get part-time pay. I'm not doing it for the pay. They've done that so a working person cannot be the mayor of Keokuk, Iowa. You have to be this retired guy. Then when he's done, he packs up his bags, gets his stuff, sells his house, and goes to Florida, Texas, wherever they want to go. They leave. And some of these people are still here. They're even involved in a selection. They don't live here. You know, they're Florida residents because they want to pay the taxes. But they still have a house here. It's easy to have a house here because our property tax is through the roof, but property is pretty cheap. And it's going to continue to get cheaper because people don't want to live here. You know, I've worked with a lot of kids lately of trying to find out why they leave. And they've had a lot of better reasons than the adults do, you know. They say, well, I go down Main Street, it's ugly. They go to Burlington, they go to Quincy, you know. We do have some people trying. I know that there has been a lot more businesses come up on Main Street. I know the guy that bought the mall, he's doing great. He's great for our town. He's putting in a movie theater that's going to be open soon. I believe it's probably going to be open. The last time I talked to him, I think next week. That's what I'm hearing. It's going to be great. So these kids won't have to run to Burlington, won't have to run to Quincy. They'll have a reason to be here. And I'm not saying the movie theater is the only thing, but the mall's coming back. Where kids like malls, they like to be able to go walk around, do things. The things like that is stuff that we have to start looking at going on, of what's going to keep people here. I was talking with a lot of these kids in this workshop, and you know, a lot of them, they're going to go to college, they're going to do this and stuff. You know, there's only going to be so many computer jobs in the future. The real jobs are going to be the hands-on jobs. The firemen, the policemen, the plumbers, the electricians. There's going to be AI programs that take over anybody's job that can sit behind a desk. So why not here? So we need to think about it. You know, I started off, that's my son right there, which a lot of you know him, but anyway, I had him run for city council because I want to make a start. And I'm going to start when they're real little because I want to help them with daycare so their parents can go to work and be able to support them and teach them that it's better to go work and earn something than not be able to work because, it makes sense. I mean, why would you? Why would you go to work if you make $800 a week and you take home $600 and some dollars, then you pay your daycare and everything, you got $300 left? I'd sit at home too and watch my own kid. Why wouldn't you? So those are some of the things we need to work on to get our workforce. The young kids, they have a lot of great ideas. We need to work with them. I'd like to kind of put together some workshops and stuff. I'd like to work with them at the high school. Maybe get some of these things back that they used to have. I know everything comes down to dollars and funding, but it's like, how much do we care? Sometimes us, the people that's been here, we're gonna have to dig in and, you know, find the money. It's just gonna have to happen. Any time I feel that you invest in the youth, you're investing in the future, which is right now we don't have much of a future to look at. I'm with the kids. I'm ready. I'm real close. I'm ready to go too. If we ain't gonna fix stuff, I'm gonna go too. I mean, I've been here. I've wrote it out. I've stayed in my own lane. I fought it out. Did I ever want to be the mayor? No, I didn't want to be the mayor. But somebody's gonna have to do it. Somebody out of that clique, out of that group, somebody else has got to do it. Because there's gonna be no change. There's gonna be no change. The only change is gonna be is the name. Whoever's new name comes in, that guy gets tired, and he goes on, and the next guy comes in. I'd like to look at, you know, we've talked about this before too, with doing a lot of our stuff within the city, like just like our streets, sewer, working on some of the stuff ourselves instead of bonding out and getting other companies to come in and spend that money. But maybe building up, maybe we have to hire more employees. Maybe we have to put on a couple employees. Maybe we have to buy some equipment. Maybe we have to have some training. But why can't we fix the streets ourselves? Why do we have to have, our guys are just as good as the other guys. They just need to be trained. We can buy the equipment just like they do. We spend the tax dollars out. If you look at it, it makes sense to me. I don't know why we ain't doing it. We've looked at this hospital deal. You know, you've heard me, I've talked about it before, touched base on it. I believe that we need a hospital here. And I can tell you right now about anybody that wants to say, hey, we need a volunteer fire department or start cutting down the police department, that's not gonna work. We don't even have a hospital. What are you gonna do with them? You know, the ambulances, you know, it takes, if somebody's having a stroke, and I had to deal with this, my mother had a stroke last year, I had to deal with it. So I know, I understand. You have to get somewhere, you have to get the right care so that they can be transported. Because at the time of a stroke or a heart attack, people are going to start losing bodily functions. They're not going to be able to, you know, if we get them in quick enough, they might not lose the use of their left arm or whatever, or they might not lose their life. We don't have a hospital, so you can't tell me that we don't need fire department. We have to have a fire department. They're doing most of the calls right now anyway. They do, I think, 1,800 calls a year. That's a lot. Police department's astronomical. It's probably 10 times that. You know, so they're out all the time. But these guys are the ones going out now. They go out and try to help them. And then we got to wait on an ambulance. And then after we wait on the ambulance, then we got to wait on the ride to a hospital, which is 20 minutes away either way you go. And if that hospital is full, they're going to have to wait. Which I was talking to some people the other day that went up to Fort Mass. A lady come in, couldn't breathe. They just set her over to the side. She's going to have to wait. And the guy's passing a kidney stone. He feels like he's going to die, and he's got to wait because the emergency room's full. So you can't tell me that we don't need a hospital. Our average age in this town is over 40. We got some older people in this town. And believe me, when you get older, you start having problems. I can tell you firsthand. I've been there. I've been there. So we need to really focus on some of these things that are important to us. But I'm going to say it one more time, we have to get together as a community. One person can't do it. There's not going to be no special grant come in and save Keokuk, Iowa. There's nobody has a magic wand. It's going to be us as a group. And I believe in my travels, I found a lot of great people. I found a lot of people that want to help. You know, we're going to talk about these committees and all these different things, you know. And I talked to Kathy the other day about it. You're right, yeah, there's a few people that are duplicated on the committees and stuff. But it's the same group of people. You know, this guy that's on this committee and this guy that's on this committee, they're going to be to dinner later. So they don't both need to go to that meeting, but they can have the meeting later and they know what's going on with everything. And it's the same people. And they don't take real good to outsiders. You know that. You know that. They don't want volunteers. People say that we can't get anybody to volunteer. Why would you volunteer when you're going to get shoved off the committee by anybody else that's on it because they don't want you? They got their own ideas. You don't matter. Everybody matters. And we need everybody at this time. And we need some fresh blood, some fresh ideas, and some fresh enthusiasm to get this to where it's got to go. Because if it don't, we've looked at the numbers. We're looking at a $2 million deficit next year. If it keeps continuing this way, 2040, it'll be pretty tough to be here. It'll be pretty grim. You know, unless somebody donates like $100 million to us or something that we can just. Nobody does. No, nobody's doing it. Yep, it is. You're right. It is. So those are a lot of the things that we've looked at. I've got a lot of numbers on different stuff. I tell you another thing that I've looked at is our tourism. I'm going to tell you guys some numbers on tourism, which is maybe blow your mind. Within 60 miles of this town right here, 60 miles, there's 350,000 people. 350,000 people. The average person spends about $2,245 a year on a vacation or whatever. Now, and I said average because some people spend none, some people spend 10 grand. Okay? Myself personally, I think Keokuk, Iowa is a great town. Okay? So we got 9,700 people here. So you take that times the average of $2,245, you're about $22 million. Why aren't they coming here? $800 million within 60 miles of here is being spent. Where's our share? Where's our piece? What have we done? What have we done? Nothing. We've done nothing. I hear everybody complain. I'm not complaining. We're going to fix it. I think that we need to really take a look at our riverfront. I've heard people say it ain't that big. Looks pretty big to me. I mean, there's a lot down there. You know, look at Fort Madison. Maybe everybody needs to go up and look at Fort Madison. Look what they've done. You know, they put a marina down there. Just that marina. Just that marina has done so much. Now, I want to do way more than just a marina. I want to do some shops. It'd be great to have the two best spots in town, as far as I see, belong to private clubs, which is good for them. I'm a member of both of them. I love them. Both great places to go. Southside Boat Club, Keokuk Yacht Club. They're private clubs. They're non-for-profit. We need some profit. You know, we need some profit. There needs to be, the city needs to get involved, and I think that I can help get some people involved with some pretty serious money to help develop this riverfront, because it's something they've always wanted. And some of those people have been shoved out. Don't want their ideas, don't want them. I think we can put this together too. Just by doing that riverfront would bring in so much revenue to town, it'd blow your mind. Everybody here has probably been to the Lake of the Ozarks. Everybody's here has been to any place that has water. Has, like Mark Twain Lake, they got stuff going on everywhere. We have nothing. I go down to Tennessee, Reelfoot Lake, Tennessee. Part of the Mississippi, it was made after the earthquake, like 1831 earthquake. The Mississippi ran backwards for a few days. It ran uphill. To me, that's downhill. It ran uphill. Anyway, it formed this great big lake called Reelfoot Lake. It's out in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing. There's small towns around it. And all those people are either fishing guides, duck guides, or something, hunting guides. They use that water because you know what? That's all they've known. We've had it, haven't used it. Right here in our face, we have 2 rivers. Right here in our face, nobody does anything. Every now and then we get somebody that wants to go out and do some boat cruises. I think it's great. I think we should have that. I think we should have a big boat. Maybe we ought to get the Georgia and Verity running. Instead of sitting down there costing us money, maybe we ought to make it work for us. Regardless, we need to start utilizing what we have. There's a lot of things that's been done, you know, like I had a question one time about the EPA things, you know, and the whole thing, like the whole Roquette thing. You know, I don't believe that we ever want Roquette to leave. If they leave, it's going to be detrimental to the town. Now, I've talked to people that, you know, is involved in this lawsuit and all these things. That lawsuit can't go to court. And all those people want to do, they just want to live there. I mean, the main people that started the lawsuit, they just want to live there.
They don't want money.
No, you're right. They don't want money. They called me. They said, hey, come out here. The wind's out of the south, smell it. Basically what's going on is Roquette's pushing this waste into their plant, and the plant can't handle as much as they are. So they got a holding tank about the size of a football field. And when it, what's that?
With no agitation.
Right. It just sits there, it rots. And when the south wind comes up, it's so bad. You can't have your heat or air on, anything. It makes sick. I went up there. I could smell it. And I've smelled Roquette. I grew up on the south side of town, right down by Clay Mountain. And I've smelled Hubinger's Roquette for years. It's horrible. Now, I hate for people to get the wrong idea and want to jump on this to make money, because I hope it doesn't go to court, because we can't afford to lose somebody like them. But I believe that we could have worked, the city should have worked harder at trying to do something with them. Same thing we lost ADM. You know, people don't want to talk about that. That should have never happened. We should have never lost ADM. But it was, once it goes out of the hands of us and gets into lawyers, then it's going to be a problem, which is what happened. That's where it's heading with Roquette. And there's lawyers involved, and when it doesn't work out, that could be detrimental. So we need to, and I will, as a city leader, not let these problems ever arise again. And hopefully we can put the fire out on that one before it's too late. Because I know you've all heard of class action lawsuits, so that could be, everybody in Keokuk could sue them. Everybody could sue them. So then they gotta go. You break them, they leave. You ain't gonna break them. They're just gonna pack up and go. Say, hey, guess what? You don't like the smell? Bye. And I don't think it's that big. I don't know how big a deal it would be to do what you said, like agitate it, treat it, do something while it's sitting there. But what I'm saying is there's been a lot, the ball's been dropped so much, and our local government's terrible. Everybody knows about the barge. You know, that was a discussion over family dinners probably for a long time. What are we gonna do with this barge? What are we gonna do? You know, here it is. Guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna pay a bunch of money to get it here, and a bunch of money to get rid of it. And we made no money in between. Okay? But if you guys think that's bad, go over on South 14th Street, the Sid Center. I've talked to a few of the city people that was here when it happened. I've talked to some people that was involved with the decision making of it. They maybe had a great idea what they was going to do. But why would we want to take on a monstrosity of building as that to try to do incubation center for businesses? Huge building. It's a hospital. I think the engineers told us bad deal. I think a lot of the people that knew about it went in there and said no, bad deal. I still don't know why we took it, but we took it and we're taking it right now. You know, we're taking it. It's sitting there, and we're taking it about $160,000 a year. I was told there ain't no loan against it. Yeah, there is. I've seen the paperwork. There's a loan. They just shoved it into the general bond. but it's there, a couple $1 million. There's a $1 million grant against it. It's sitting there. Now they're trying to figure it out. And yeah, it sounds great that they're gonna get maybe out of it for a quarter, but still it's $250,000 we shouldn't have lost. We were getting taxes paid on this building and we took it back. Which to me, when you start making bad deal after bad deal, that puts us in the situation that we're in. And it was a bad deal. There's no way around it. $160,000 a year it costing the taxpayer. You know, that's 1 or 2 firemen or 1 or 2 policemen sitting there, and we're paying it. Probably more than that because you got to figure the taxes was getting paid on it. Not a bad deal for Roquette. I mean, you can't blame them. I'm not mad at them for it. You know, they thought they were helping. They thought they were helping us out. The city people just never looked past it. I really don't know why. I still don't know why. Bad decision. And that's bad decision after bad decision. We got these buildings on Main Street. I know Main Street owns them. Main Street Keokuk owns them. I get it. I know Main Street Keokuk tries to do a lot of stuff with developing Main Street. They do. They work hard. Sometimes I think that any of our city entities ought to get out of the real estate business. We're not real estate people. We're not developers. Go ahead.
One thing about this, buildings on Main Street, and I work for them, okay? I make good money on them, but I don't agree with everything they do. When they took those buildings over, they put out a survey for the employees. What would you like us to do with these? Okay. They were going to put daycare. They were going to put a learning center in for the kids and stuff like this.
They want to put ground level. They want to put ground level living in them too, and the city wouldn't let them.
Well, that has been long lived.
Mm-hmm.
But everything that they said they were going to do, it's not just the city. Roquette also didn't come through with what they were going to do with those buildings.
You're right, they didn't. But here's the deal: why would we ever take them back? They're paying taxes on them. You know, they're not just going to give them up for us to tear them down. If they do, they're going to pay for it. You know, that you can't blame Roquette for getting rid of them. They had great ideas. I heard a lot of ideas. What you said, that was a lot of good stuff. They had plans for these buildings. And then, you know, like COVID hit and stuff and nothing really happened. Now they sit there. And so now they give them Main Street. Main Street's going to try to do something with them. Here's the problem with that, though. It costs a lot of money to fix those buildings. They've spent a lot of money just to stabilize them. You know what it means when you stabilize something? Just to try to get it so it's going to stand. Okay? They don't have any electric in them. They don't have any plumbing in them. They don't have floors in them. Some of them don't. Okay? So that's not, Main Street is to help develop Main Street, not to be in the real estate business. Now, I know Main Street's their own entity. I get it. But the city gives them some of their budget. Okay? Now, if something happens and Main Street folds or something goes, where does those buildings go? Right back on us, the taxpayer. Because where they go? Where they go? This genius guy, and you know, I'm not real happy with this guy. He ran his business in town for years and stuff, and he sold his buildings that just got tore down on 5th Street here a while back, sold them to a homeless guy for a couple dollars. And it cost the city a ton of money to tear these down, which we could have went and tore down some of these dilapidated homes, or, you know, eventually when those get tore down, maybe we can do a redevelopment program with the lots and stuff in town on building new homes, or maybe whatever. I don't care. But when we keep chasing our tail and tearing things down, having to tear stuff down, or getting stuff handed to us, then on top of that, we don't need to make our own bad decisions. We got to accept the real estate that's going to be put upon us, not the real estate that we go get. Which is why I'm going to go back to those buildings, those things, bad decisions, period. We all need to get, the chamber don't need to be in real estate business. I know if they got to have a business to work out of, none of those places need to be in a real estate business. The city doesn't need to be in a real estate business. Somebody's going to have to show me better. Now, Carbide maybe that's gonna pan out, but I don't think anybody really knows how much it's gonna cost to clean that up. I think we got like $10 million. They gotta burn the ground. They gotta dig it up, burn it. There's, I've heard that there's landfills out there, all kinds of stuff. So that's an unknown. We don't even know where we're at on that. And that's gonna be years before that's cleaned up, probably 4 years or something like that. So, which will go back again. There's still no place here in town to put anybody. If somebody wants to put a business here, where are you gonna put them? I've heard people say, hey, we're gonna bring an Amazon warehouse here. Where are you gonna put it at? I mean, there ain't no place to do it, So, just some things that I looked at, and I'm not mad at anybody. I just think that we need to think before we start jumping into real estate business. And like I said, I'm not picking on Main Street because I think they do a great job. I've worked with them. I've donated to them. I think they have helped revitalize a lot of buildings in Main Street. I mean, a lot of people, they'll go out and work with them at what, kind of what they want them to look like and stuff like that. I know there's some grants out there and things and they'll help you get it. But I'm just scared of what's going to happen with these places, and it's another Roquette deal. Roquette, give them away. You know what I mean? Give them away. We've talked a lot of other things, like this, balancing the budget. We ain't going to ever have a strong foundation until we figure out how to balance a budget. We start fixing the streets. Everybody in town, everybody wants to talk about the streets. The streets are terrible. They are. They've been terrible for years. I mean, the same bumps when I was a kid, lived on the south side of town. The same bumps I went over 40 years ago, they're still there. I mean, but I think we can. I think we can get together and we can. But it's like I said, it's a spending. I know some of the money out of different things have been told that's not going what's supposed to, and I know they're wanting to put stuff back, which is going to take money out of other things. So, it's kind of been a shell game with some of that to try to make it. I mean, these guys have done what they can to try to make it. Now we need to start looking beyond that. We need to look at the bigger picture of how we're going to bring it back. And, those are just a few of the things that we've looked at. I mean, we've done a lot of the low rent housing things here in town. They keep building those. I believe we need some low rent housing for the college kids. These college kids out here, they don't have no place to live. They can't come down here to school. They don't have transportation, have no place to live. They're trying to go to college. So maybe some of those things need to be looked at. We've got tons. I mean, I could be here all night and talk about all the different things that we've talked about and discussed. But here's the thing. At any point in time, we have a plan. We have something we're going to work on. We are looking at a future, not just to be the way we are. And finally, I feel like Keokuk when I was a kid was a great town. I loved Keokuk. I was proud of Keokuk. I'm still proud of Keokuk. I love Keokuk. When I come across the bridge and see Keokuk, I love it. Keokuk was like this flower. It's a beautiful flower that was planted. And we planted weeds around it now. And what's going to happen is the weeds are going to kill the flower. And that's where we're headed.
I'm bringing back Keokuk.
Are you bringing back Keokuk?
I think Dan Glasgow is the correct candidate because he will bring Keokuk back.
Okay, we're ready?
Yeah.
We're bringing back Keokuk.
Bring back Keokuk.
I need each and every one of you to get involved. We need the town back. We need the people. We need the help. I need the support. And I'm here to lead it up.
I'm bringing back Keokuk.
We're bringing back Keokuk.